guys, how's it going? Today we are working on a very interesting project down at our local community college. Treasure Valley Community College is the name of it, in this area right here. This is the flower bed in front of the gym. You can see that there are already some really nice plants in this area. We had planned on putting annuals in this spot when we did our initial plantings this year, and then decided to skip it because there was a bunch of infrastructure that needed to be done before it was really ready to be planted, and that has all been done. It is ready to go. So today we have a truckload of Atlas roses. We were kind of trying to decide what to put in this area. This is south facing, so it gets, I mean, you can see the sun on me right now. It gets hot in this area, and we wanted something that would maybe match the school colors, which are orange, blue, and white. And Aaron actually suggested, why don't we put a bunch of Atlas roses out there? So he contacted Proven Winners, asked if they would send out just a bunch of these quick turn, is what they call these, sized roses, and they followed through. So huge thank you to Proven Winners for sending these plants out. We have 80 roses in this truck. We've got 20 more at home just in case we run out, or if we decide to put them in a different area here at the college. But I kind of wanted to run through this area and show you what we have to deal with, and then I got kind of some fun different things we're going to try out for planting. So first off, the area. So I said southern exposure. There's some nice trees in the background. These are all maples, and they go, you know, green, red, green, red. I'm trying to remember, there were some old shrubs back in here. They were kind of ratty looking. I don't know how long they'd been here, so we decided to get rid of those. These were here. There's no reason why these can't stay. They're beautiful boxwoods. So 2 groupings of 3. And then there are black lace elderberries on either end. I think there's 2 of them on this corner as well. And then a ground cover, yeah, there's a second one back there. Ground cover juniper that looks nice. It's really good winter interest right here. So what I think we're gonna do today is we'll put in a bunch of Atlas roses here. They grow 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide, so we can really put a lot in this area. And then we just want a huge bank of them back here. I think we can do 3 rows feasibly with them getting enough light. The back side of the back row we're gonna have to watch, but I think we can just pack this out, and then we're gonna leave from about here, like this line right here forward. We'll leave this all empty because I could next year do plain the blue salvia and then Super Tunia Vista Snowdrift, so we have orange, blue, and white, which would look quite perfect leading up to the gym. Okay, landscape fabric. I wanted to talk about that really quick because there are a lot of differing opinions on whether or not to use it. And as a rule, we don't typically use it at our house. We have in a couple applications under hedging where we have bindweed issues because you can't spray bindweed out of our hedges, otherwise it would kill parts of our hedge. So we decided to put a layer just underneath that because we knew we didn't have anything that we wanted to naturalize and such. But there are people out there who just say, you know, the landscape fabric ruins the soil. And, you know, so I get that. I get why some people don't want to use it. I think in an application like this, where you don't know what your crew is going to be like from year to year to help you maintain areas like this, it makes a little bit more sense, especially if you plan on adding nutrients in around your plants every single year, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to address that. They wanted to use it here, so they installed it. We didn't do this part. So we have fashioned something to burn holes in it to make planting easier. I've never done this before, but Paul made this actually at home. So you can get actual, like, what's it called, a tiger torch or something like that, that attaches to a propane tank, and you can probably get different diameter metal rings, but the one I saw was fairly narrow, and you can burn, like a lot of flower farmers do it, or farmers in general, they burn holes in their fabric and then pop their plants in the holes to help suppress weeds. So we're using the coffee can method here today. We've got these little propane tanks. You heat up the edge or the rim of the can, and then you can just melt your hole. Isn't that handy? Instead of using the dang, usually we use a X-Acto knife or a razor blade, and you cut a little X, which you can totally do that, but I don't want to get up and down, you know, 100 times to make X's in the fabric. Then you've got flaps of fabric to handle, and anyway, this is going to be kind of a fun experiment. I've actually not tried this yet. Paul said it works. So the other thing we're going to do, so we don't make a massive mess on top of the landscape fabric, is when we melt our hole, we're going to stick this tub right where the hole is. You can see that it has a hole cut out at the bottom, so that we can put our auger right down in here, dig our hole, and it will fling all the dirt inside the bucket to help contain the mess, instead of ending up with a bunch of soil on top of the fabric. I feel like it's going to work really well. We haven't really tested it out, but this is the best place to do that, I guess. So I also have this. In order to help us space things out more, I cut this 4 feet instead of 3. They grow 3 feet wide, and I really want it to be fairly like one right after another. So I marked where the 3 foot is here, and we'll make sure to put one rose here, the next rose will go this far from it, and that way it's very easy just to quick like move your stick and get them spaced out properly. So I think what we'll do is set all the roses out, take a look at it, and then we'll start melting holes. Also, before we start, let's talk about the rose a little bit. So we have some of these at home, a little bit bigger than this, but you can see the buds all over. These poor things, we've had them in the high tunnels for months, 3 months maybe, and so they've got overhead water, like hard water spots on them. They're kind of ready to get out of the can. Most of them don't even have color on them at the moment because we're kind of a weird time, but we're having a cool down tonight, and so that's going to be nice. I think these plants will be able to settle in, they'll be very happy, and it'll be fun to watch these grow in this area. So zone 5 through 9 on this plant, they're disease resistant. They don't typically deal with insect problems. I don't have insect problems with ours. I haven't even noticed aphids on ours, which is awesome. Not to say that they couldn't get them, but they are usually in some sort of color. They'll flush out a little bit in between bloom cycles, but when they're in bloom, they are so thick with blooms. They're just absolutely wonderful, and I think it's going to be so fun to have the appropriate color for the school colors up here. So anyway, let's get these lined out and start working. Guys, it's a new day. We decided to come back this morning because after planting 80 roses in 97-degree heat with, I don't even know how high the humidity was yesterday, but I was a mess by the end. So we decided, you know what, let's just clean up, come back in the morning, and it's beautiful today. Overcast, high of 75 today, so quite a different story. We ended up, okay, well, first off, you probably noticed we didn't end up using any of the little helps that we thought we might be using, like melting a hole. We could not get our propane torch to turn on. Like, we tried, and Aaron kept trying on one end, and I just told him, you know what, I have a razor blade, I'm gonna start at the other end, we gotta get this done, so I'm gonna just start cutting holes. So what I did, if you look in here, is I cut a little square so that the flaps, you know, when I'm planting, I fold these under so they're out of the way. And then with the extra soil, because I ended up using the auger without the bucket, because that actually, in my, I don't know, I feel like that would work really well if you are in a situation like digging fence posts in grass. I think maybe, Aaron, you mentioned you had seen at one time somebody doing that with like a kiddie pool, like auging a bigger hole, and the kiddie pool held all those soil so it didn't get all over the grass. This is pretty easy to clean up. I mean, I used a blower at the end, and what I did with the extra soil that came up with the auger is I just kind of lifted up the fabric and shoved it underneath, and then whatever was left over, I used the blower in the end. Also, the stake I had measured out 48 inches, and then I had made a mark on it because I thought I really wanted them to be really close together. And then I got to thinking about airflow, just the sheer amount of these roses. They don't need to be side by side in order to create impact. This is going to be major impact right here. And right here, they look like they're lined up in rows because they are, but from the front where you're going to be seeing this, they're kind of a zigzag. So the front row and the back row match, and then the middle one is right in between. So it should be a really beautiful look. We left enough space for perhaps playing the blue salvias, and then Super Tunia Vista Snowdrift is kind of what I'm thinking to get the school colors. I think that will be really pretty. And then, like I said, At Last Rose is just a really good rose, easy to take care of. I don't think I mentioned before that these don't require deadheading, which is kind of necessary in an application like this. You don't want to put in a bunch of things that are going to then create a huge nightmare for anybody taking care of them, especially when you're multiplying your rose by 80. I mean, that would be a lot of work if you had to deadhead. You certainly can for aesthetic purposes, but they will continue blooming even without that. So I think it'll be a really striking low maintenance choice for them in this area. So the next step, Benny will come through here and run all the drip system. I'm assuming he'll either do the brown drip tubing or maybe just the black 1/2-inch poly and then do individual emitters, which would be more efficient watering for this area. And then probably up here for the annuals, it will be more efficient to do the brown drip tubing with emitter holes every 18 inches. I'm not really a part of that, as well as the top dress. I don't know if they're going to be using mulch, which I kind of hope they are, or gravel. I think that would be kind of a dry, hot choice, but you know, anything to kind of cover up the landscape fabric and make it look a little bit tidier. So anyway, step one, well, this is like not even step one. Step one was clearing out this area. Did we get any, I wonder if we got any pictures. I might have a picture. I'll look. If I have a picture, we'll pop it up. It wasn't horrible. It just needed a little bit of a revamp, and it's really fun to be a part of it. So anyway, we will give you updates on this area next season. Probably not this one now that we're heading into fall and winter, but it should be a fun one to watch evolve. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.